There is a reason Amish gardens produce more food per square foot than most modern farms, and it has nothing to do with the products they sell at the garden centre. The Amish have been growing food without synthetic chemicals, without expensive equipment, without any of the things they tell you that you absolutely cannot garden without, for generations, centuries. And their gardens are extraordinary. Productive, healthy, abundant, and built entirely on knowledge passed down from one generation to the next, without a single instruction from a corporation that profits from your confusion. I have been gardening my whole life. My grandmother gardened. Her grandmother gardened. And many of the methods I am going to share with you today are the same methods that Amish communities have preserved and practiced while the rest of the world was being convinced to buy things they never needed. Let's go through them. Number 1. Orient everything south and let the sun work for free. The Amish do not place a garden or a greenhouse wherever is convenient. They place it where the sun will do the most work. South-facing. Always. The long axis of any growing structure faces south so that winter sun, which travels low across the southern sky, floods in all day long. My daddy placed our kitchen garden on the south side of the house for exactly this reason, though he did not use any fancy terminology for it. He just said the sun knows what it's doing and your job is to get out of its way. He was right. Plan your garden placement before you plant a single seed. The right position is worth more than any fertilizer. Number 2, save your own seeds. Every single year. Before garden centres existed, people saved seeds. The Amish still do. They choose the healthiest, most productive plants, the tomato that produced longest, the bean that bore most heavily, the squash that stored best, and they save seed from those specific plants. Year after year, the seed improves for their particular soil and climate. Properly dried and stored seeds have germination rates that commercial seeds cannot touch because they are adapted to your specific conditions. Save seed in paper envelopes in a cool, dark, dry place. Label everything clearly. I speak from experience when I say that planting mystery seeds in the spring is less charming than it sounds. Number 3, compost everything. Absolutely everything. The Amish waste nothing that can feed the soil. Kitchen scraps, garden trimmings, dried leaves, chicken manure, wood ash, all of it goes back into the cycle. What the scientists now call the soil microbiome, that is just a fancy term for the living community of billions of organisms that make soil healthy and productive, that community is fed by organic matter. Compost is how you feed it. My grandmother kept a compost pile at the edge of the garden that she called her bank account. She said you deposit all season and withdraw in spring. She was right. Dark, crumbly, finished compost added to your beds each year will outperform any synthetic fertilizer because it feeds the whole soil ecosystem, not just the plant. Keep meat and dairy out of your pile unless you enjoy raccoon visitors at 2 in the morning. Number 4. Bury fish scraps for tomatoes. This goes back further than the Amish. Indigenous peoples of this continent were burying fish near crops long before European settlement. The Amish kept the practice because it works. Dig a hole about 12 inches deep near your tomato plants. Put fish scraps in. Cover completely. As the fish decomposes, it releases nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium and trace minerals in a slow, steady, perfectly available form that roots can use over the entire growing season. My first husband's family buried fish heads under every tomato plant they set out, and their tomatoes were the envy of every garden in the county. Bury them deep. 12 inches minimum. Otherwise, you are not growing tomatoes, you are running a neighbourhood cat buffet. Number 5. Use egg water on your plants. When you boil eggs, do not pour that water down the drain. Let it cool completely and use it to water your tomatoes and peppers. As eggs cook, calcium leaches into the water, and calcium is exactly what those crops need to prevent blossom end rot, that black, sunken patch on the bottom of tomatoes that makes you want to give up gardening entirely. My mother boiled eggs every week and watered the garden with the cooled water without fail. She did not know about calcium deficiency or cell wall development. She knew her tomatoes never got blossom end rot, and her neighbours did, and she attributed that to the egg water. She was right. Number 6. Companion planting. Let plants help each other. The Amish practice companion planting the way my grandmother practiced neighbouring. Everybody has something to offer, and the community is stronger when you arrange things so those gifts complement each other. Tomatoes and basil belong together. The basil confuses and repels certain pests while both plants grow better for the company. Marigolds planted throughout a vegetable garden repel aphids, nematodes, and a considerable list of other unwanted visitors. Beans fix nitrogen from the air into the soil, benefiting everything planted nearby the following season. Carrots and onions confuse each other's pests. Cucumbers and nasturtiums keep aphids at bay. This is not superstition. This is accumulated observation from people who watched their gardens carefully for generations and recorded what worked. The research now confirms what they already knew. Number 7. Rotate your crops, every single year without exception. Each type of plant takes specific nutrients from the soil and leaves behind specific conditions. When you plant the same crop in the same spot year after year, you deplete those specific nutrients and build up the pest and disease populations that favour that particular plant. The Amish rotate systematically. Heavy feeders like tomatoes and corn go in a bed one year. Nitrogen-fixing legumes like beans and peas go in that same bed the following year to replenish what was taken. Light feeders like root vegetables follow in year 3. Beds are rested or covered with green manure in year 4. This system, practiced consistently, keeps soil healthy without purchased amendments and reduces pest problems by confusing the life cycles of insects that overwinter in the soil, waiting for their preferred host plant to return. Number 8. Mulch everything that is not being actively worked. Bare soil is not a neutral condition. It loses moisture to evaporation, loses structure to rain impact, loses organic matter to oxidation, and invites weed germination in every direction. The Amish mulch because they understand that soil is a living system that needs to be protected. Straw is the traditional Amish mulch. Laid several inches thick between rows and around plants, it holds moisture, suppresses weeds, moderates soil temperature, and breaks down slowly to add organic matter. When you water mulched soil versus bare soil, the mulched version retains that water dramatically longer. My garden has been mulched with straw every summer for as long as I have been gardening, and I can tell you the difference in a dry August is not small. Number 9. Collect rainwater. Every drop is worth saving. The Amish place barrels and cisterns wherever water runs off a roof because they understand that rainwater is superior to tap water for plants in every way. It contains no chlorine, no fluoride, and it falls at ambient temperature rather than the cold that can shock roots. It is naturally slightly acidic, which helps make nutrients in the soil available to plants. A typical roof during 1 inch of rainfall produces hundreds of gallons. That water is free, it falls whether you collect it or not, and the plants genuinely prefer it. Place barrels under downspouts. Cover them with screen to keep mosquitoes out. Use the water first before it sits long enough to develop problems. Number 10. Water at the base, not the leaves. The Amish water at the root zone because wet foliage is an invitation to fungal disease. Wet leaves overnight, the most common result of evening overhead watering, creates exactly the conditions that blight and mould require to establish themselves. Drip irrigation, which delivers water slowly directly to the root zone, uses a fraction of the water that sprinklers use and produces significantly better results. The Amish version of this is simply a leaky soaker hose or careful hand watering at the base of each plant. The principle is the same regardless of the equipment. Water the roots, not the plant. Number 11. Use wood ash from the fire on your garden. The Amish burn wood and they do not waste the ash. Wood ash contains potassium, calcium and phosphorus. Sprinkled lightly around plants, about a cup per square yard, it provides these nutrients while raising soil pH slightly, which benefits plants that prefer less acidic conditions. My grandmother carried ash from the fireplace to the garden all winter, storing it dry in a covered bucket until spring. She dressed the beds with it before working the soil. She did not know about potassium and phosphorus. She knew her grandmother had done it and her plants were strong. The continuity of that knowledge is more reliable than most things I have encountered in my time. Do not use ash around blueberries or other acid-loving plants, and do not use it in excess, a light dressing, not a burial. Number 12. Plant marigolds everywhere. Non-negotiable. Child, please let me tell you about marigolds. The Amish border their vegetable gardens with marigolds not because they are pretty, though they are, but because marigolds emit compounds from their roots and their flowers that actively repel nematodes, aphids, and a considerable range of insects that would otherwise be helping themselves to your vegetables. Studies have confirmed what Amish and traditional gardeners have known for generations. Gardens with marigold borders have significantly fewer pest problems than those without. 60% fewer aphid problems in some measurements. The flowers also attract pollinators, which your vegetables need. Plant marigolds at the border of every bed. Plant them between your tomatoes and peppers. Plant them wherever you have had pest problems before. They cost almost nothing, they are easy to grow, and they work. Number 13. Start seeds densely, then thin ruthlessly. The Amish do not plant one seed per cell and hope for the best. They plant densely in a small area, allow the seeds to germinate and grow to a usable size, and then transplant only the strongest and most vigorous seedlings to their final positions. This method gives you a chance to select for vigor before you commit garden space. The weakest seedlings are composted or given away. Only the best go into the beds. Research confirms that densely sown seeds share warmth and moisture and show higher germination rates than isolated seeds. The seedlings you select for transplanting will outperform anything you might have grown from planting one seed in one spot and hoping it was a good one. Number 14. Mix tiny seeds with cornmeal before planting. Carrot seeds, lettuce seeds, any seed too small to handle individually, mix them with cornmeal before you sow. The pale yellow cornmeal makes the seeds visible, prevents clumping, and helps you see where you have already sown. Your germination rates improve because the seeds are spaced more evenly and not piled on top of each other. This is so simple it almost does not bear mentioning, but I have watched people struggle with carrot seed for years who had never heard it. Mix with cornmeal. Problem solved. Number 15. Sprinkle cinnamon on your seedlings. Now this is one that always gets a reaction, and I understand why, because it sounds like something you would do to oatmeal rather than a garden bed. Cinnamon is a natural antifungal. The compound that gives it its smell is the same compound that prevents fungal growth. Damping off, the disease that causes seedlings to collapse at the soil line, is caused by a fungus. A light dusting of cinnamon on the soil surface around seedlings prevents that fungus from establishing. The Amish use what the Lord put in the earth to address the problems the earth presents. Cinnamon is cheap, available, effective, and it makes the greenhouse smell like something good is happening. It is a considerable improvement on whatever the chemical fungicide smells like. Number 16. Enrich soil with crushed eggshells. Save your eggshells. Rinse them, dry them, crush them as finely as you can manage, and work them into the soil around your tomatoes, peppers, and any other calcium-hungry plants. As they break down, and finely crushed shells break down much faster than whole ones, they release calcium directly into the root zone. Additionally, the sharp edges of crushed shells deter slugs and snails, who are not enthusiastic about crossing a surface that feels like microscopic broken glass. 2 problems addressed by one thing you are going to throw away. Number 17. Bury banana peels near tomato plants. Cut them into pieces and bury them an inch or 2 deep around your tomatoes. Banana peels are high in potassium, and potassium is what tomatoes need for strong stems, disease resistance, and flavourful fruit. As the peels decompose, they release that potassium slowly and steadily into the root zone. The Amish waste no part of any food. A banana peel that goes into the soil around a tomato is a banana peel that is still working. That is the philosophy, and it is a sound one. Number 18. Use onion skin tea as liquid fertilizer. Those papery outer skins of onions that you remove before cooking, save them. Steep them in water for 2 to 3 days. Strain out the skins and use the resulting liquid to water your plants. Onion skins contain potassium, calcium and magnesium in forms that leach readily into water and become available to plant roots quickly. The tea also has mild antimicrobial properties that can help suppress certain soil-borne pathogens. This is pure waste-nothing wisdom. The skins were going to be discarded. Instead, they become fertilizer. Nothing is lost. Everything serves. Number 19. Control weeds with undiluted vinegar on sunny days. For weeds growing in paths, between pavers, in areas where you do not have garden plants, undiluted white vinegar applied on a hot sunny day will kill most weeds within 24 hours. The acidity damages the waxy coating on leaves and the plant cannot recover. Use it only where you intend to kill everything, because it will kill everything. Do not spray it where garden plants are growing. It is for paths, edges and problem areas where you want nothing growing at all. The Amish do not buy herbicide. They use what is in the pantry. The results are the same without the chemicals ending up in the soil. Number 20. Protect ground fruits with straw underneath. Strawberries, melons, pumpkins, cucumbers, anything that rests on the ground while ripening is vulnerable to rot where fruit meets soil. The Amish tuck straw underneath ripening fruit to keep it off the damp ground, allowing air circulation, preventing rot, and protecting from soil-dwelling insects. My mother did this with her melons every summer. She would go through the patch when the fruits were setting and tuck a small pad of straw under each one. The difference in fruit quality compared to neighbours who did not bother was consistently visible. Number 21. Aerate compacted soil regularly. Compacted soil, and all heavily worked soil compacts over time, does not allow water, air or roots to penetrate properly. The Amish aerate with simple hand tools working between plants to loosen the soil surface without disturbing roots. Nothing fancy. A hand fork or even a sturdy stick worked through the soil around plants accomplishes the same thing. The scientists call what happens in well-aerated soil improved gas exchange, which in plain terms means the roots can breathe and the beneficial organisms living in the soil can do their work. Compacted soil suffocates both. Number 22. Use companion herbs as natural pest deterrents. Beyond marigolds, the Amish plant herbs throughout and around the vegetable garden specifically for their pest-deterring properties. Lavender repels moths and fleas. Mint confuses aphids and ants. Rosemary deters bean beetles and carrot fly. Basil improves the vigour of pepper plants and repels thrips. The herbs are also useful in the kitchen, which means the garden produces more in the same space. This is exactly the kind of double and triple use that the Amish apply to everything. Number 23. Let some plants go to flower for the bees. The Amish do not deadhead everything. They allow some herbs and vegetables to flower deliberately because flowers bring pollinators, and pollinators are what make the rest of the garden produce. Dill and fennel in flower attract beneficial insects that prey on pests. Borage attracts bees that will pollinate your squash and tomatoes. A garden that is entirely tidy, with every spent flower removed and every plant kept from bolting, is a garden that has reduced its pollinator habitat. Leave some flowers. Leave some herbs to bloom. The bees will find them and they will repay you. Number 24. Feed the soil in fall, not just in spring. The Amish work compost and aged manure into empty beds in fall, not only in spring, because the long winter months give soil organisms time to fully integrate and transform those amendments before planting begins. By spring, the soil is alive and ready rather than freshly amended and raw. Cover the amended beds with straw mulch to protect them through winter. Earthworms will work through the mulch and the compost all winter in any soil that does not freeze solid. By spring, the beds that were put to bed properly in fall are transformed. The difference is visible immediately. Number 25. Keep records of what worked and what did not. The Amish preserve knowledge across generations partly because they write things down and partly because they talk to each other honestly about what failed as well as what succeeded. A garden journal. What was planted where, when it was planted, what the yield was, what pest problems appeared, what worked and what did not, is worth more over time than any gardening book you can buy. My grandmother kept a journal. My mother kept a journal. I have kept a journal for most of my gardening life, and the accumulated knowledge in those pages represents something that no amount of money can purchase. It is the record of what this specific ground in this specific climate responds to, built through decades of careful observation. Now, I want to close with something that the Amish understand deeply, and that I have come to believe more firmly with every passing year. A garden is not merely a food production system. It is a relationship, a daily practice of showing up, paying attention, working with the natural world rather than against it, and trusting that the effort you invest today will come back to you in the season that follows. The Amish garden the way they live, with patience, with intention, with the long view, with gratitude for what the earth provides and humility about what it requires. They do not fight the soil. They tend it. They do not fight the seasons. They work within them. They do not fight the insects and the weather and the occasional failure. They observe, adjust, and try again next year. That posture toward the garden, toward life, toward everything, is what I have tried to maintain for 102 years. Tend what you are given. Waste nothing. Pay attention. Trust the process. Be grateful for the abundance and patient through the lean times. The garden teaches all of it if you are willing to listen. Now, my straw mulch is not going to lay itself.